It's Rob!
Tony! And I'm Jeff.
We're in gaming.
And that's you.
Hello gamers and welcome back to the Inn. I'm Rob, of course, or Warshack if you want to call me by my in-game name, and with this most recent Hearthstone patch, we've uncovered some information that has rocked the Hearthstone community. So, off the bat, I'm going to talk about kind of what's going on in very basic terms. If you already have watched the video that they released on what's going on, along with reading the FAQ, which I did myself, this information that I'll give will overlap that just a little bit, but for the most part, I don't want to cover the same things you've already seen, or if you've watched the video. If you haven't, the links can be found in the description, which I recommend watching first, kind of going into what I think about it, because if you hear me what I'm saying about it, and you're like, oh, that's not what happened, it's like, no, these are my opinions on it, and there could be a little overlap with what I mentioned, but for the most part, I recommend knowing what's going on first, and then coming and watching this, because again, this is just my opinion, what I think so far. We'll actually go over the cards at which they're taking away from Hearthstone with this new standard format, and also talking about some a lot of comments I've been seeing, good and bad. We'll talk about, I've got my list over here, so if you see me look over here, it's because I can't memorize all this. I've kind of formatted a little bit. So we're going to go into what's going on, a little bit about each expansion that's being taken away, some of the cards that we're not going to see anymore, which is, for some of you, we don't like it all. For some of you, like me, I'm really looking forward to this. And then also what's going to happen in the metagame while they're doing this, some small information that I found that you may not have known, and then what I personally think, and then from there we'll finish it off. So hopefully this video won't take too much of your time, but it is going to be a bit lengthy because there is a lot to explain, and it is a huge change to the Hearthstone game if you've been playing Hearthstone like myself. Like, this is huge. Like, I woke up from my nap, and I got on a computer, and I was like, holy shit, what the fuck did I miss when I was sleeping? And then, so I decided, everybody else needs to hear about this too. So with that, we'll get right into it. So, what is going on? So, Hearthstone decided, just like pretty much any card game at some point in their life, that there's too many cards, and they need to do something. When a player enters Hearthstone, there's just an overwhelming amount of shit to do, there's too much to buy, there's too many adventure modes, so it's like, how can we fix this? That's just one issue, but one of the issues, but we'll just use that because it seems to be very common, and you see that on Reddit all the time. It's like, hey, I'm a new player, should I even play Hearthstone? So the investment in a Hearthstone is huge. So how do you take care of this? And this is to open up like different ways to play ranked. So what they did is they're going to have a standard format and a wild format, and the wild format's going to allow you to play any card from any season or any set or any adventure mode that you'd like. It's going to have the same ranked rules as we have now, so there'll be a legend. You'll still get your ranked rewards. You can still do your quests. You'll just be able to play whatever cards you liked. But with standard, they're actually only allowing you to play cards that are up to 2 years old. So if you're, for the first set, they're actually getting rid of Goblin vs. Gnome and Naxxramas, because those are past the 2 years. So it's whatever in the current year. So let's say we're 2016, which is now, and then 2015. So whatever was made in 2014, bye-bye, which happens to be Goblin vs. Gnome and Naxxramas. So with that, that kind of talks about the wild and the standard in the most simple sense. There's a lot more shit to know than that, but that's kind of just like the basics. You'll have two kinds of ranked games to play. Both of them will be exactly the same, but I think Blizzard is taking the standard format a little bit more for the tournaments and the more competitive play. So I think you get BlizzCon points for the standard. Actually, I know you get BlizzCon points for the standard for making it top 100 legend, where so in Wild you don't, but that's a little bit too much information for you guys. For the casual players, it's basically the same. One of the lists, you get to play whatever cards you want, whatever decks you want. There's no limitation. That'd be Wild. And then for Standard, it's only the cards that have been released the past 2 years, along with your basic cards that have been around since Hearthstone since the start, because they don't want to lose the core of the game, or should I say the heart of the cards. No, not making fun of him. He's a good dude. And then, of course, class cards. So, like Warshack, Cleric. None of those guys are going anywhere. It's just the adventure modes and the expansions that are going away that after 2-year mark. Okay, so with that, they're going to also increase the deck slots to 18. It only took you like 2.5 years to hear our call, but nonetheless, deck slots to 18, but there is a catch. You have to have unlocked all of the class, you have to have defeated all of the class, I don't want to say challenges, but you have to unlock all the class people. What's wrong with me right now? You gotta unlock all the classes. So Warrior, Hunter, Warlock. I don't know why I couldn't say that, Druid. So you just gotta make sure you have all the classes, which you get by defeating the Innkeeper, and you'll get your deck slots. I don't know why that was so hard for me to say. Also, the end of the month chest ward ranks. because you're going to be able to do ranked in both wild and standard, and you can have your own separate rank in each. The good question was, at the end of the month, you get your chest, and depending on what rank you get rewards. Because there'll be two kind of ranked plays, again, standard and wild. Well, I get 2 chests. No, you'll get whichever rank you're highest in those two, and that's the chest you're gonna get. So let's say you're rank 5 in standard and rank 7 in wild. You obviously get rank 5 rewards, not rank 7 rewards. So that was a really good question. I thought I'd knock out. Okay, so talking about the sets, what's going on with those, and what's being removed, and what cards we can expect to be bish bish, no more, goodbye. And that's going to be the Release of the Kraken is the name of the standard kind of play they're doing. Release of the Kraken standard format, I'm sorry, is what they're calling it. And so the cards are going to be allowed in standard play are basic, the classic, which we've been over. So classic cards would be like Norshire Cleric, and the basic cards would be like, I think War Golem is an example. It's just a card everybody has. Yeah, it actually could come out in the original set. I don't fucking know. You guys know what basic and classic are. BRM, so Black Rock Mountain, so that's going to be allowed. TGT and LOE, along with the new expansion that we don't know anything about. That's also going to be included in the standard format that we're going to be able to play in. So this leaves Goblin vs. Gnome and Nax to be bye-bye. So we'll actually go into these cards now and take a look at what is all going to be removed. It's actually a lot, guys. Like, this is going to be huge. So for Druids, we have Poison Seeds. This doesn't make a significant impact. For Hunters, we got Web Spinner. I honestly don't even play Web Spinner in my mid-range Hunter deck, but it's a very popular card, so it's sad to see a Web Spinner go. We all like the Web Spinner. For Mages, Duplicate really doesn't make too big of a difference there. Rocky World, not so much. Paladins, look at that card right there. What is that card? That's an Avenge, and that goes into Secret Paladin. Fuck Secret Paladin, that shit's gone. Secret Paladin is taking a bit of a hit here, Avenge being one of the better secrets, so that's nice. For Priest, we have Dark Cultist. There's good 3-drops that can be replaced with him, so I mean, it is a hit, but it's not too big of a hit. That card just sucks, we won't go over it. Reincarnate, not too much. Void Color, this is a card seen in a lot of Warlock decks, whether it be an aggressive Warlock deck, a mid-range Warlock deck, or a late-game Warlock deck. So whether you're playing Zoo or Reno, this is a card that we see, and it is, in my opinion, too good. Putting a random demon from your hand into the battlefield, it just seems too. I thought I said random card, but I did say demon into the battlefield is so broken. Whether it be Lord Draxus, Mal'Ganis, a Doom Guard, that's just so good. Like, if it doesn't get silenced, it's getting value. So it's just one of those cards. We'll actually get into why they did this later on, and kind of like why it makes sense. But also, for those of you who are disappointed, you've got reasons behind it. But we'll talk about those in a bit. But yeah, good to see this go. Despite as me being I play Warrior a lot, and this is going to hurt really bad because I like Warrior and I like Despite a lot, but Despite, you gotta know it's too good to be true. Like, a 4-drop, 4/2, Death Rattle, deal 1 damage to all minions, like, that is so good. And so I'm going to have to come up with other shit to play besides the Despite. Maybe we'll see the Arcane Reaper, maybe we'll see some new weapons in this new expansion that also fulfill the 4-drop factory. But for the most part, I can deal with this leaving. It's just, Standard is going to bring a lot to the table, and these are cards that are going to go. So in this little table, we've got a lot of cards that we're getting rid of. Zombie Chow, Haunted Creeper, Mad Scientist, Egg. I'm kind of going to go a little bit faster. I can't talk about each card individually. That'll take a long time, and I don't want to take too much of your time watching this video because I'm sure you guys have a lot to do. But anyway, these are just some of the cards. Guys, like, look at this. Death Lord, Lotheb is going bye-bye. Shade of Naxxramas, Dancing Swords, Gargoyle, Baron. Not really that big of a deal, but Lotheb, guy. This guy has seen a lot of different decks. Death Lord, very popular in Priest and Shade, almost a Druid staple. And then we've got the Belcher. This guy. He's probably one of the best 5-drop taunts. He's found, again, in a lot of different decks all across the board, whether it be Control Warrior, Druid, Priest, sometimes Huntard, even in Secret Paladin. I threw him into my Secret Paladin because he's so good. So it's just like, we'll get into it again, but it's like Blizzard can't just sit there and nerf out all the cards at one time every time they release a new set to make the new set worth playing the same or more than the cards that have been previously released. And they can't just make cards better and better because that's retarded as well. So the only way to kind of get around people not playing old stuff is to make formats. And that's kind of what we'll get into in a bit, but goodbye, Sledge Belcher. Alright, so then we got GVG. There's a lot of shit in here, guys. A lot of shit. So we'll kind of just go through the pages. If anything sticks out to me, I'll go over it. But for the most part, most of these cards, they're not really used that much. But if there is a card that's used a lot, like Dr. Boom and Shredder, we'll talk about it for a little bit. So for the Druid class, there's really nothing much. Malorn just blew donkey dick, so there's no point. So Hunter takes a bit of a hit with Glaive Zuka going out the window, but that's not too big of a hit because it's found in a lot of Hunter decks, but they can do without it. It's not like a Savannah High main. Gazarilla, not that important. For mages though, rip fucking Mech Mage. So Flame Cannon's gone, Unstable Portal's gone, Snow Chugger's gone, Blast Mage is gone. Blast Mage, guys. Rip. And the Wii Spell Stomper. Just kidding, that card sucks. Alright, Shielded Mini-Bots, Coghammer, Muster for Battle, Quartermaster for the Paladin. This is insane. So mid-range Paladin is taking a big hit. Shielded Mini-Bot, again, this is just a 2-drop that you just... It's so good. Like, you can't compare this to any other deck 2-drop that's like, oh yeah, that's as good as a Shielded Mini-Bot, no problem. It's just one of those cards, when it comes out, you're just like, shit, how do I get rid of that? Coghammer, same way. Great card. Muster for Battle, like... Paladins have by far the most insane opener if they draw it, because they could like turn one, coin out Shielded Mini-Bot, play another Shielded Mini-Bot into a Muster for Battle. Like, you win that game. There's no way to come back. So, sorry, my nose is getting a bit stuffy. For priests, we have Light of the Naru, which is pretty popular. Shrinkmeister, which is really popular. Velen's Chosen, which is really good card. So we got like 3 good cards on just this one page. Vol'jin and Light Bomb. So with Priest is taking a pretty big hit as well. I would have to say Mage maybe a little bit more. And Paladin a lot more, but still Priest. Velen's Chosen and Master are seen a lot, because you can combo the Master with the Shadow Priest to take a 4-drop creature, which can in fact be Ysera. For Rogue, we have Oil. Like the only Rogue deck we see right now. So they're going to have to do something crazy with Rogue to make it viable again, because after you take out a card like Oil, what the fuck does Rogue have left besides like Miracle Rogue, which isn't even played, and like Malagos Rogue, which is not very popular. But both those decks, if you see a Rogue on ladder, it's like seeing a deer on the highway. Doesn't happen, and if it's there, it's dead. And so you take away Oil, and it's just like taking away all the forest for the deer, so you just don't even see deers anymore. It's like, what the fuck is that? And they're like, oh, it's a 4-legged creature that looks like Bambi. What the fuck's a Bambi? You don't know because it's dead. It doesn't exist. There's no forest. So for shamans, we... Rip Shaman. Crackle, Whirling Zip-O-Matic, Power Mace, so Mech Shaman. Crackles are actually really good, but it's a card that needs to get rid of. It's a card that needs to go. Needs to get rid of. It needs to go, because it's like, how much damage do you do? Oh, I do like 3 to 6. It's like Implosion. It's like how much damage you do 2 to 4, and the difference between 2 to 4 sometimes is the match. So it's just like some RNG cards like this that just need to... I don't mind Crackle leaving. I mean, I do play Face Shaman every once in a while, but I wouldn't mind seeing Crackle go. It's whatever. Oh, no, I'm not trying to build a deck. And then Neptulon, really not that... What have we done? What have we done? We went to a deck, I'm sorry. Going back to G... Oh my god, I'm fucking up, guys. Rip. Where were we at? Where are we at? Shaman. There we go. Alright. So, for Warlocks, we've got Dark Bombs... Imp Implosion, these are the only 2 that really stand out here. Demon Heart is not something we saw a whole bunch of, and for the most part, both these cards can be go without. But Mal'Ganis, wowzers. This is a guy that you'd want to play your Void Caller. He's won so many games for me, whether it's because he makes my hero immune or because he's given my Imp Implosion imps plus 2/2s that make them 3/3s, which are pretty solid creatures. Like buffing your Silverhand recruits with the Quartermaster for free. You get him out of Void Caller, so you don't even have to pay for this guy. So it's just like 2 combo pieces, 2 combo cards that they're getting rid of, which makes Warlock a really powerful class. And along with that, if you look at all the Warlock legendaries, they're pretty good besides Fizzlebang. Like, that guy can just, like, go off into his own little party corner. But for the most part, Lord Draxus and Mal'Ganis, in comparison to, like, let's take a look at fucking Rogue. Like, look at that guy. And tell me that he stands even anywhere near Mal'Ganis or Lord Draxus. Get the fuck out of here. So, I'm glad to see Warlock taking a hit on the legendary mark there. Because that's It's not cool. They got too much of it. They got too much of the good shit. Alright, so Warrior. Oh no. Shield Maiden. So as a Warrior player myself, I probably play Warrior more than any other class. I don't know how I don't have Golden Warrior. I hardly play Mage, but what the case may be, Shield Maiden, goodbye. No other really card on this page really stands out. The Iron Juggernaut, at one point I played it, I liked it, I got old, I stopped playing it. And then Crush, we don't really lose much. So in total, Control Warriors have lost Shield Maiden and Deathbite. I'm pretty sure that those cards can be replaced. Not the best, because Deathbite is amazing, but for the most part, not too big of a hit. Cogmaster, Mech Warper, Noyotron. Mechs are going out the window, guys. When I said Mech Mage, I should have just said Mechs in general, because GVG was the era of Mechs, and now they're not so much. So our Mech Mage and our free-to-play account's gonna get fucking rocked. So I think we need to go over to, like, Face Hunter and start building that, because we don't have much longer, guys. We got a couple, like, I'm assuming not even 6 months, like 2 months, and Mech Mage is gone, so definitely have to work on that. So Mech Warper, there's really nothing else on this page. Ooh, Ship's Cannon, so we may not see Pirate Rogue anymore. Hobgoblin really never made a difference. Spider Tank is pretty good. Technician, of course. Mechs. Piloted Shredder. So, I'll actually talk about this now and not leave it towards the end. So let's scroll down to what I had said about this. Okay, so why are they putting in this like new kind of format and not just nerfing or buffing particular cards or making cards better? That doesn't particularly work in the card game world, because let's say Shredder's out, right? They can't just go on and nerf Shredder, because they can, and they can do that for every expansion, but that's like a small fix and a big problem. That's like having a bucket full of holes, filling it with water, and just keep filling it with water, and when it loses more water, you just keep filling it with water, and eventually it's just wasteful. You're spending so much time filling it with water instead of just patching up the fucking holes, and then you only have to fill the bucket one time. So this is something, again, of course, anybody can sit there and fucking nerf a million cards, but that just, no one wants to set their team on nerfing cards after they've already designed it to do what it can do for a purpose, and has it set at a particular attack, defense, ability, or cost for a reason. You don't want to just keep revamping cards, because they have to look back at other cards and see what else it's hit. It creates like this butterfly effect, if you've seen that movie. So, what's best is just setting them out into formats. For those of you complaining, hey, I spent a ton of money on all of these cards, I can no longer use them anymore, it's kind of just like, well, you can use them. Never once was anybody say that you can't use these cards. You're just going to have to go into the wild format, which is the same thing you're playing now. There's no difference in the what you can get, what you can accomplish, your rank, who you're going to be facing. Everything is going to be the same, besides the fact that, for me, I don't want to play against fucking Secret Pally every day, or, you know, Crackle, or any of these bullshit cards like Implosion, where I can play in a nice state of happiness in this new, maybe, format where Standard will bring to the table. Wow, that came out retarded, but you guys know what I meant. And then for those of you who want to continue on with what you've been playing, which is perfectly fine. If you want to play Shredder and Implosion and all these crazy cards in wild mode, because it is wild, there you go. You don't lose anything. You're not being punished. You're still getting your points. You can still hit Legend. You're still getting your end of the war chests. And if you're like, oh, I can't get BlizzCon points, first of all, if you're watching this and you make top 100 Legend, thank you. But for the most part of the world, and for 99.9% of the players like myself who don't make top 100 Legend, I mean, I have hit Legend and I've done it many times, but I don't hit top 100 Legend, because that's, you know, for the pro player brackets. They don't really care what kind of format they play. They play Hearthstone to make money. They don't really care about fun anymore at that point. So for those of you worried about you losing your investment in Hearthstone, you haven't lost anything. You can still play the same format against pretty much the same players and play the same decks and still do ranked and all that good stuff. You're not losing anything. So, just to make that note. Oh, and then for those of you who want to play the standard format and you would like to disenchant your Maxina from the Naxxramas and get full disenchant value, that is now a possibility. So, for those of you who, you know, have bought these wings before and you're like, well, I want to play standard, but I've kind of spent a lot of time doing older stuff, you can actually disenchant some of the legendaries you got from the adventure modes for full price dust. So you get golden, it's 400 dust for a legendary. It's 1600 for a golden legendary. So you can actually disenchant your old legendaries from adventure modes and work on new stuff. So that's a little side note in there. So that's good stuff, good stuff. And hopefully that tangent didn't take too long, but it needed to be hit. I had planned that for the end of the video, but because we hit unpiloted Shredder, I think it was a good time to stop and kind of talk about why don't you just nerf and do this and do that. So Antique Healbot's gone, Fel Reaver gone, Blingtron's gone, Moga the Ogre, and Hemming Mezikwe, you'll be missed. Not. Dr. Boom, good fucking buy. You're a cool card, but it's time to see you go, man. You've taken up that 7-drop slot for way too long. I would like to see some new decks, new creatures in different slots, especially the 4-drop and the 7-drop. So 4-drop, no more piloted Shredder. It's good to see something else in there. And then for 7-drop, no more Dr. Boom. I honestly wish Trogzor got a chance because I like Trogzor a lot, and I like what he can do. He works very well against a lot of different decks, but unfortunately he's part of the GVG package, so we're not going to be able to see what he can do and replace a Boom. But either way, Boom's a goodbye. Piloted Shredder, Piloted Sky Golem, Sneed's Old Shredder, and Mecha Plug, which was never used. So, buy mechs. Hopefully with this new set that they do bring out, they can replace some of the stuff that we're going to be getting rid of with GVG and Naxxramas. So whether it be, new warrior weapons, new good 7-drops and 4-drops, they don't have to be the best 7 or 4-drops. They just have to be something we can use that we may not have looked into before. So I'll probably be going back into the card selection, whether it be the League of Explorers, TGT, and stuff like that, and see what other 4-drops may actually work. Maybe not as good as Shredder and Boom, but Booming is 7-drop, not a 4-drop, but which I actually may play. And there's also the new expansion on the horizon, which we can expect in March, most likely, but there's no promises there. Okay, so what else do we got? The standard will. I won't go into dates of when standard's going to be updated. You guys can read that in the link. I'll have that in the description below. So, what do I think? Where's it going to go in my opinion? And we'll kind of drop it off here. We'll leave it at the end. So, I used to be a big fan of Yu-Gi-Oh! And by big fan, I mean I fucking love the card game. I played it every weekend. I went to the tournaments. I went to regionals. I went to as much Yu-Gi-Oh! As I could put inside my body and hold. There we go. That's how much Yu-Gi-Oh! I had. So Yu-Gi-Oh! Magic, things like that, really enjoyed. I enjoyed when I was a kid. And then when Hearthstone came, I kind of stopped playing. When Hearthstone came out, it kind of brought back all the nostalgia of a card game, but the ability to also combine it with World of Warcraft, which I also played at the time, and I still played occasionally. So, with me being a longtime card fan, I've also seen the kind of life cycle of other card games. So, whether it be Magic the Gathering or Yu-Gi-Oh!, eventually in Yu-Gi-Oh! I actually caught it from the start. There was no ban list in Yu-Gi-Oh! From the start. There was no formats. And then as the game progressed and they released, sets every 3 to 4 months, because in real life they can't just reword a card and send it out there. They have to ban cards or set formats in place so people don't play the most broken decks and combos everywhere you go. So this isn't uncommon in the card game world for them to put in and implement formats for specific tournaments or new to stop old decks from being played. I'm kind of getting rambling on here, but this isn't uncommon is what I'm trying to get to. So Hearthstone doing this, it rocked the Hearthstone world because we just didn't expect it this soon, I don't think. And they gave us no insight into it. It was just like, boom, it's happening in a couple months, deal with it. And it's a good thing to deal with. I'm really looking forward to it, which is probably most of my opinion is positive about this. I really think it was necessary at some point, whether it have been now or 6 months from now or within a year. Something like this needed to happen where the old cards needed to stop being played in the fresher season, or some format like differences. It needed to happen, and it's a good thing. It's a good thing. And if you have any problems about it, that is completely your opinion. I'm sure there's problems with it. They may not implement it 100% of the way, or there could be problems with it releasing, but the actual thought behind it and the process that goes with it, I think, is very standard in card games, like I mentioned before, and it'll be really nice because we'll be able to play cards that we may not have played before. That we wouldn't have been able to play cards that we could have. Wow. There's Piloted Shredder out, we're not going to play anything else. So you take away Piloted Shredder, we actually have to think about other shit we may play and build dynamic decks that work with that. I actually had written something down here, but I was looking for it, but I can't find it. I wrote a necessary evil that must be taken care of, which I was referencing to fucking Secret Paladin. I think that's it. I think I've covered everything I need to cover. I don't really want to read over this too much and waste your guys too much time. But if I missed out on anything or you have any questions, feel free to leave in the comment section below. I'm more than happy to get back to you guys and kind of share with you my opinion some more. And if we get enough questions regarding back to this, I might make another video called Continued, and I'll answer all of your guys' questions. I'll go down the line and answer the most common questions. I have no problem doing so. So with that said, hopefully you've enjoyed the video. We got a sneak peek into what they're getting rid of, what to expect, what I think, what are some common issues with people saying, and then what I personally think, which I think it's good. I wish I could add on more to that, but I've kind of went over why it's good throughout the entire video and didn't leave too much at the end for me to touch up on personally, besides my background, which didn't even answer the question. I just thought it was interesting, but anyway. So with that said, guys, thank you for stopping by the end. I really hope you enjoyed this video. I enjoyed making it myself and putting it all together in the 5 minutes I wrote down my shitty ass notes. So with that said, I'm Warshack and happy whatever the hell day it is.